What is up, folks? Greetings. Happy Wednesday, and been a while. I mean, I streamed on Saturday, but things have been quite irregular recently, and I'm finally returning to something approaching normalcy, which will be swiftly undone in some sense by the game we're playing tonight. We're going to be continuing where we left off before I got sick a few weeks ago with Prince of Persia 2.5, The Crystal Castle. I'm not sure if you guys were around for the first installment, but if not, you're in for a treat. Atomic Runner, thank you very much for your continued support. Your 22 months of unspeakable horror. Time does fly. Time is weird. Time is weird. But hey, I appreciate it. The opponent, Lamasar, lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, everybody else, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. I'm doing pretty decently, I have to say. I've been at work for a few days now, which is feels kind of weird. But it feels really good, honestly, to be up and about and feeling something, like I said, something approaching normal. I mean, I don't know what normal is, but at least I don't really feel sick. And I have a lot more energy, I can sleep normally, I can... Well, I was gonna say I can eat normally. My appetite wasn't really affected when I was sick, but because I slept very strangely, it ended up really affecting how I ate too. And it certainly affected my ability to move about and exercise, which has been terrible. And I look forward to being able to actually kind of exercise again, which is a good sign. The fact that I'm actually kind of anxious to exercise is probably a good thing. But that's not why we're here. We're here to continue our journey through no kind of comprehensive, look at the Prince of Persia series or anything like that, but we're kind of dipping our toes here and there, cherry picking the most ultimate Prince of Persia games. Man, there's still so many of them that I want to play, and I'm just kind of I wrote about this on Discord the other day too, like just kind of trying to figure out how to approach this stuff, because we finished Sands of Time, and that was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed that game a lot more than I expected to be perfectly frank. And it has me excited to get to the other 3D Prince of Persia games. When I finished Sands of Time, I just felt that I didn't want to jump into Warrior Within right away. I didn't want to do them like back to back. But now I'm kind of caught in this sort of dilemma where I'm thinking of, on the one hand, I don't want to do all of them back to back. But on the other hand, I don't want to stretch it out so far that it takes me like all of 2022 to just get through those games. Now, of course, I ended up being sick and, took a involuntary hiatus. So at this point, it feels like forever ago that we actually played Sands of Time. So I'm not too opposed to actually getting into Warrior Within pretty soon. Hey, what do you know? I'm not sure how that happened, but I guess we just completed the versus fighting game challenge. Well, that's impressive. Good job, everyone. I was actually thinking about that recently. I mean, actually kind of makes sense, I guess, because somehow at the beginning of the month, the beginning of last month, I guess, however that works, whenever this challenge started, we got up to like 30% in a single stream or something, I think. So yeah, I guess it makes sense we would catch up. But I was going to say, because it was away, I didn't stream for so long, I figured this would be the month where we didn't really end up reaching that community goal, and I had to finally find out how to work that and extending deadlines and whatever else. But hey, I guess, nope, we'll find out some other time, perhaps. But as of now, the community challenge has been completed, which means that I will pencil in another Viewer's Choice versus Fighting Game bonus stream. I don't think we'll do it this week. I think I need to kind of get my bearings a little bit to get back into regular streaming. I the thought hadn't occurred to me that we would be able to do this, reach this goal so quickly. So I was definitely not planning on it. But probably next Friday. Zetsubera D, what's up, guys? We're definitely in for some gaming. Oh yeah, another tiny bit of housekeeping. I was reminded seeing you guys posting all these emotes. As I discovered on Saturday's stream, a couple of days ago, I was apparently awarded with animated emote slots, and I made one. If you're a subscriber, you'll see in your little emote box, you can summon a German suplex on command. How about that? But I apparently have 5 animated emote slots, so I'm gonna have to think of something to put in that. I saw opponent as you were joining us. That's a very powerful emote with the glowing pit fighter chest. And yeah, someone on Discord had mentioned Hagar Lariat, which I thought was, not the worst idea. Dancing Jury, the thought did occur to me, but it'll require quite a bit of work. But yeah, that suplex emote actually took quite a bit of work too, but I didn't realize that until I was halfway through, and I thought it was worth it. I went through several iterations on animated suplex emotes, but I was pretty happy how this one turned out. You can actually kind of see what's happening, which is good. Because we were playing it last time, I was looking into Gain Ground, and I actually made, I don't have it active on the channel, but I did make an emote with one of the characters, their little chibi walking animation. But I'll probably enable it, well, I might enable it because I don't have anything else on there, but I'm a little anxious about swapping around emotes like super frequently. So I don't want to like add something only to remove it. So I don't know. But yeah, it's tricky. Like it's hard to. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of emotes that I can. Some of them I have on there that I just kind of put there because I had empty slots and I didn't know what to put. But I think there's quite a few of them that don't really get a lot of use. I do have access to emote metrics now, which I also only got pretty recently. It's so weird, Twitch, the way they like roll out these features. Apparently, like, a bunch of people still don't have follower emotes, and I had those since, like, summer. And, yeah, cause that's why all the follower emotes, there's a bunch of, like, Final Fight stuff in them, because we did the Final Fight games back in, like, July, so I had them back then. But then I only just now got the animated emotes and the metrics I also got recently. It's weird, but hey, better late than never, I guess. So I'm gonna have to come up with something to put for my animated emotes, and hopefully something that doesn't like take absurd amounts of work to either source artwork for or create the animation or whatever. Yeah, just more emote slots than I realistically know what to do with, to be perfectly honest. But hey, it's not the worst problem to have. I did, I was gonna say I wanted some Prince of Persia stuff because I feel like that's increasingly becoming part of my brand here. And I did get the Spike Pit emote, which I was, I have to admit, pretty happy with. I hope that'll catch on. But anyway, speaking of Prince of Persia and dying, which I'm sure we will do a lot of. We're gonna continue I don't know what word to even use to describe it, but the indescribable, let's call it. Fanmade Prince of Persia 2.5, The Crystal Castle. This was a game that I, by complete happenstance, just bumped into on the Xbox store when I was looking into the Sands of Time stuff, and I mean, the fact that it exists isn't like super weird. The fact that you can just get it on Xbox is mostly what makes it weird. Because there's like some very blatant copyright infringing material in the game. definitely makes me curious what the certification process could have looked like for this kind of thing. But it's in some ways very well made, kind of mechanical recreation of the original Prince of Persia mechanics, but everything is like a little bit different, a little bit off. Um, and it's all programmer art except for the art that was clumsily stolen from older Prince of Persia games. uh, and the music, I think, is all taken from Prince of Persia 2. It's kind of wild, but when I first started playing it last time, like, I thought it was going to be like a bit of a joke, like a very strange game, and I wasn't sure if we would even like really be able to play it, basically. But we got into it, and I actually started enjoying it a lot. I don't know how long the game is. It has a time limit, so we might be able to complete it tonight. We might time over. We might have to start from the beginning. I'm not sure, but we'll see how well we can do. So without further ado, why don't we hop on over here, get rid of these jams, and get into it. Let me change my display here so I can actually see the game also. That's a very very elaborate title screen, as you can see. Or loading screen, even splash screen. Here's the title screen / main menu. It plays well enough, surprisingly well in some ways, but it's yeah, it's one of these great games where the D-pad doesn't do anything, so you have to use the analog stick in the menus and in the entire game. In fact, let's look at the instructions. Oh yeah, the other cool features. Let's see, you press the A button here. Oh, nothing happens. Oh yeah, the right bumper. That's the confirm button, because of course it is. Right, so trigger is the walk button. I think bumper is the action button, and A is the crouch button. Y is the jump button. Okay, right. No, wait, so right, yeah, of course. Sneak, yeah, okay, right. So the right trigger is the action button. That makes more sense. Oh yeah, you can pull out and sheath your sword on command, which is kind of unusual. You still block on up. You can see the sprites are beautifully scaled here. They're not quite as raggedy looking in game, but they are very blurry. Right, so oh yeah, the left shoulder button, which is not the name of the button, by the way. It is called left bumper. But hey, who cares? Not Microsoft, I guess. Left trigger, show time. Right, okay. Oh yeah, so let's say we go to the, wait, what's more? Oh shit. Okay. Oh yeah, you can. We're not allowed to change the window size in this version, because this. I can't change this though. Oh, 6. So that's why the screen's black. So we have touch controls here. Yeah. So this is on phones also, and I think there's a Windows version. But yeah. So let's say I'm in the menu here and I want to go back. You might instinctively press the B button, which of course brings you back to the system menu. It just hides the game. So basically, this game has a boss key. I mean, I guess it's not a good boss key because you're still playing your Xbox, but it does instantly hide the game. It doesn't quit out of the game, which is good because there's no auto saving or checkpoints really. Well, there are checkpoints actually, but there's no auto saving. You have to manually do a hard save. But yeah, so the B button to exit, that's not like a menu thing. That's literally at any point in the game, anywhere. If you press the B button, you just go back to the Xbox dashboard. So, like I said, if it actually quit your game, that would be kind of devastating. Because I definitely pressed the X button, or the B button on occasion. I kept pressing the wrong button for things a lot of the time because the controls are not incredibly intuitive. Oh shit, we should watch the opening, by the way. In case, yeah, in case you need to hide this fucking highly illegal game. If Phil Spencer comes over your shoulder, you're just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm just checking out all this Game Pass shit. Oh yeah, I did buy this, by the way, because I wanted, this was on sale, so I got the Golden Axe collection, basically for the Mega Drive. Well, Golden Axe 3, it's only on Mega Drive, but oh yeah, we can. Oh yeah, and I bought this Prince of Persia: Forgotten Sands because I'd rather play it on here than on my PS3, so I bought it again. Anyway, Phil Spencer left, so we're safe. We can go back to the Crystal Castle. Anyway, before we load our save game and continue, in case you weren't around for the last installment of this stream, it's we should watch the intro, which I guess plays if you just start a new game. Robbie Rocket Fingers, what is up? Happy Wednesday. Once upon a time in ancient Persia, beloved Sultan ruled. Brought peace and prosperity to his kingdom. One beautiful autumn, while the Sultan was away, his only daughter fell in love with a handsome young traveler. He was only somewhat blurry, but still handsome. This made the Sultan's Grand Vizier Jafar very unhappy. Very unhappy, mind you. Since he wanted to marry the princess himself. So the Vizier threw the young man into the dungeons, the first screen from Prince of Persia 1, and seized power by setting an evil curse upon the kingdom. I don't remember that part of the story, but hey, I'll trust it. The young man escaped. Defeated the evil Vizier in an epic battle. Final boss fight from the original game, faithfully recreated. Twice, in fact. Yep. Shadow in the Flame, right there. The titular flame, I can only assume. And so, after saving the kingdom, the prince asked the princess her hand in marriage. And they lived happily. Well, for a little while at least. So Prince of Persia 2 takes place like, what, 11 days after the first game or something? These guys are having a pretty rough go at this relationship. Fanmade Prince of Persia, the Crystal Castle. So the 2.5 part of the title only appears in some places. I like that Chaim Grebnev wasn't he wasn't audacious enough to call it Fan-Made Prince of Persia 3. It's still 2.5. This caption is the best too. One morning, while the prince was standing on the balcony, you know, as one does, you just stand on your balcony. A crudely redrawn sprite from Prince of Persia 2 shows up. An evil witch. Thou thought that defeating my disciple would be the end of it. Away with thee! Prince just getting on his invisible sky motorcycle. Oh yeah, and he flies past the title screen, which is just an actual physical location above the city. Makes perfect sense to me. And you just swoop in here, and the game begins. So yeah, the princess sprites are from the Mac version of Prince of Persia 1. awkwardly rescaled. The tiles, as you could possibly imagine here, are original art. Yeah, I think you like drop down and that's how you clear the stage. Yeah. We have enemies in the game soon enough that are like taken from the DOS version of Prince of Persia 2, so they're in a completely different resolution, but they're also like somewhat redrawn and even blurrier. And there's also skeletons from... I think the skeletons are also from Prince of Persia 2, but they're like even blurrier. This game is quite something. No death screen or anything, or death scream rather. But you can like instantly. Oh, I pressed the B button. Shit. You can like instantly restart. Anyway, oh yeah, the start. Well, I guess it's not. It's hamburger on Xbox Series X, but the button previously known as start does nothing. Left bumper. Oh, there we go. So let's load. So yeah, we Oh yeah, the timer hasn't started, I guess, because the time button doesn't do anything. But whenever the timer starts, which is like after this level, I think, you have 3 hours, which is pretty lengthy. I'm not sure what that means in terms of how long the game actually is. But, oh, the wrong button. Right bumper, there you go. See, I'm already starting to press the wrong button here. It's just going to be a thing with this game. Level 9 is as far as we made it. So, we were in this cave set of levels. We made it to the top of this mountain where we drank a white potion, which allowed us to jump onto a cloud and land on it. We then flew on this cloud to some new location, which the game doesn't explain or make explicit, but I'm assuming that the location that we flew to is the titular Crystal Castle. The art does not make it super clear. If I recall, you see on kind of a you see this kind of over like in the intro, you see the temple or the castle, whatever, and the city. There's like a similar view, but I think because when it first happened, my understanding was like, oh, we're flying back to the castle, but it was clearly not the castle, the prince's castle or the sultan's castle, whatever. And it wasn't until like after I'd played it, I sort of started putting 2 and 2 together. It's like, oh yeah, wait, there is probably a castle in the game, right? It's called the Crystal Castle, so I guess that's where we flew to. So I think actually level 7, if I recall. We can load this real quick. Oh yeah, that's when you arrive. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the cutscene. But you open this highly elaborate door. You press up. You hear a little jingle, as if you've completed a level. But you haven't. The stage just continues after the jingle. I hope you guys like the color yellow, by the way. Oh shit, okay. No, there was a cutscene after this. So this, you would think from the intro that this is... I mean, I guess this is not showing us the castle that we flew to. I guess it's just a shot of our castle. Yeah, so these guys in Prince of Persia 2, they have like bird heads. So they just like erased their beak, I guess. And yeah, so this is like the second set of levels. We have these like bright yellow and green tiles. Anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context. Yeah, I guess it's just big white hair. I mean, it becomes a little bit... Because they don't really have faces. It's a little strange. Anyway, yeah, so you can save at any point, but I believe it's gonna save... Well, that's the wrong button. It saves at like the start of the level. So as you can see, we're at, what, 67 minutes. Okay, I guess we're not going up here. Yeah, immediately there's like... There's a lot of design, like level design peculiarities that instantly make it clear that this game does not sort of follow the same design sensibilities as the original games. The fact that there's a lot of those kind of jumps right around screen transitions and stuff like that, it's a little bit weird. Is that like a crusher or a button? Or just nothing? Okay, no sound. Oh, there we go. That fell incredibly far. Well, I can't go back to the door, so I can hopefully drop down there. Yeah. But the levels are like pretty huge and sprawling. So it's kind of like weird to find, like learn to find your way around. Yeah, if you don't sneak under that big wide thing, it'll crush you. Switches here. Like in the beginning, I was really put off by the that's like an invisible switch. The level design put me off a bit in the beginning. Okay. But eventually I kind of, it started kind of growing on me a little bit. Oh yeah, the doors open, they start closing super fast, by the way, compared to the original games. Like, the level design is not bad in this game, but if you come from, like I do, playing, like, right from playing the original, the game kind of asks you, I don't know, it's a bad idea. Okay. The game kind of demands a lot of you. Alright, that's not helpful. Alright, that was, I pressed the B button. That was not a good jump. But you know, in fairness, so does Prince of Persia 2. Prince of Persia 2 is a very different game compared to the original. So this being different isn't, you know, a failing of the game necessarily. I may prefer some of the design sensibilities of the original. Like, I think that level design is just impeccable. But it's also like, you know, some stuff that you're just so intimately familiar with can end up becoming... I don't know if I actually jump forward. Well, whatever. I don't know if I need to drop that. I just kind of assume that that's going to help me in some way. Because it would have fallen down here, yeah. Dynamite, what is up? No, I did not finish this. I got to level 9. Then I got COVID. And I was sick for 2 weeks. But now I'm back, and so is the prince. Forgot if there was something over here. Oh, yeah. Oh, so this would take me to the guy, right? Yep. Collision detection is a suggestion, basically. Also, enemies don't have life bars in this. Also, those little props, like this decorative houseplant, are just, they shift around. Anytime you die and reload the level, these are like foreground pillars too. Like, some of these elements will just shift around, which is incredibly unsettling. You unfortunately cannot drink the houseplants. Believe me, I've tried. This game is highly mysterious, that's for sure. I see. Alright. Yeah, that's unsettling. Like, you still move at a limited frame rate, but not that thing. Alright, so let's see if we can find out. These drops are so satisfying. There's a lot of sort of death-defying jumps and drops in this game, which are of a quite different nature than you would expect. Oh yeah, makes sense, 'cause I have to. Like, you can kind of tell that the designer was exciting to put like extreme jumps. That white flash is a checkpoint, by the way. Like in the game, which I can't fault them for, because I would have been excited to put sick jumps like that in the game too. Oh, this doesn't look like a thing. Forget, I'm sure that diamond just instantly kills you, but I actually forget how it works exactly. I think it's gonna move a lot faster when I'm on like the same plane. Yep. So I need to wait until it's farthest to the right. If I drop down now, even though it's moving away, it'll change direction when it like notices me. Yeah, security diamonds, exactly. But it shouldn't follow me. Yeah, see, it lost me. But, like, yeah, the level design is kind of strange, but like sort of the puzzle design aspect of it is not bad. Because there's a sword there. Just to double check, I have one. I don't need another. Oh yeah, the place where you first find your sword, there's like 3 swords next to each other for no apparent reason. It looks like I'd be able to climb up here. I guess not. I think I'd be able to jump across the gap on the left there. But I'm not sure. There's like no landmark in the background, so it's a little hard to make out. Don't think I can go up there now. Sometimes it can be a little hard to make out how many tiles. Like, is this a 3-tile gap? I guess so, because I made the jump. I mean, luckily everything is the game respects the grid. Some of the behaviors in terms of like gravity and physics and momentum and how being airborne behaves, like there's stuff like that that definitely works. Yep, I missed on that. That works a bit different. Stuff like that. But I could have probably dropped down. So it is kind of playing by its own rules a little bit. But I think the most important part for a game like this isn't strictly faithfulness to a particular behavior of the original game, in my opinion. I think for like being enjoyable to play, the most important part is that it's it's kind of hard to count the tiles to get the spacing right when you're right on that screen transition border. The most important part isn't, in my opinion, to be perfectly faithful, but it's for the oh, that's not what I meant to press, but it works out. It's being internally consistent with its own rules so that the controls are predictable. Like all of the ports that I've played of the original game that end up being worse or not feeling great, they're not necessarily worse because they're different. They're basically all worse because they're the way in which they are different make the controls unpredictable and unreliable. I think I was up there, so I would have known if I could have climbed up there. Yeah, the hitboxes are not the best part of this game. The enemies are just like kind of a different scale. It's super weird. like the Mega Drive Prince of Persia 1 has this problem where you don't snap to the grid the way you're supposed to when doing jumps and stuff. So you end up making a lot of jumps that end up being like sort of misaligned with the grid. So you just don't make jumps that you miss jumps. You end up being able to miss jumps in a way that you really kind of shouldn't be able to miss them. Being able to grab a ledge like that, maintaining enough horizontal momentum to grab a ledge off of falling like that is not something in the original game, really. That's a quality sound effect, by the way. I was not ready for that to be what this thing does. Oh, I'm not gonna walk through that. I just realized. Assuming I can't go up here. You'll have to excuse me if my my commentary starts being completely rambly and nonsensical. I have a lot of thoughts on Prince of Persia map design, game design. And this game is demanding a lot of focus. Yep. See, there's like so many huge drops. Like the game is just gigantic.
Unspeakable horror awaits you.
Gary Deadly Groove subscribing with Prime Gaming. Thank you very, very much for your Prime sub. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy your unspeakable horror. Alright, so I gotta... wonder if... I jump from here. Yep, there we go. Again, you gotta sneak under these things. Took me a long time to actually figure out that's how that worked. Okay, there's a... that's presumably not the exit. Oh yeah, I can't go up there. Yeah, take us to the other side of that thing. So that... okay, this just brings us up here. But yeah, like the Mega Drive version is... the way it sort of doesn't quite respect the tiles, or the grid, rather. Let's see if there's something up here. Makes things that should be predictable and consistent, inconsistent. And the Master System version is even crazier, because it's got this super messed up gravity and everything. Oh, boy. Whoa, that's not good. I wonder if, well, I should have figured. The physics and movement in the Master System port of the original game is absurd. It's just barely functional. And that makes those games not fun to play, because obviously you're slow and limited and a bit clunky to move around in these games. But because it's consistent and predictable, you can kind of manage it. And I think the strict adherence to the grid and the tile-based nature of it, like, that helps make it predictable. I'm losing a lot of time here. I feel like I probably want to restart, or like reload the save game to redo the level. But we'll see. Oh, that's the wrong button. That's also the wrong button. And this game, I think, even though it's a little quirky, the way it handles some things, ultimately it's consistent. So when you fuck up and fall, it's usually your own fault. But there are a lot of other ways to get killed in this game. Oh, okay, no, that works. The way traps and enemies kind of spawn and respawn and... oh yeah, that's right, I forgot about this. Everything stays the way it was when you died. Speaking of spawning and respawning. I don't think I went this way last time. And yeah, I highlighted the first part of this playthrough. I exported it to YouTube, but I don't think it's published yet, because I think it's like processing. But you're more than welcome to catch up on that. Wait, I was supposed to do the lower part. The Master System Prince of Persia is just... it only bears a very superficial resemblance to the real game. It's so weird. I wonder... probably too far. Yep. You kind of maintain your horizontal momentum. In this game more than I'm used to. In fact, even making that kind of a jump where you're supposed to land or even grab a ledge on a lower platform like this, like those, there are very few jumps like that in the original game. It's not like the game couldn't do it. It's just not going to ask you to do it very often because it is a little bit awkward and a little bit hard to gauge the distance. At the same time though, because it is a little bit of an awkward jump, there is a very strong satisfaction to actually nailing it. So I don't mind that stuff is in the game. Nope, that's still not quite enough. Okay, yep. I'm kind of doing this both to go fast, but mostly to just get the hang of the spacing. I don't mind dying. So frankly, at this point, like, again, because I don't know how long the game is, I mean, on the one hand, I kind of would maybe not strictly mind replaying it from the beginning to get a better time. But I think if I play it like that, not knowing, you know, how strict the timer is, granted, but like, I feel like it might take a couple of playthroughs, and I'm not sure how much patience I would have for that, at least not on stream. Like, doing the original game a few times, like we played through the Mac version of POP1, and it took 2 attempts. But that's a game where I'm like familiar with all the levels and everything, so... Although, this game also kind of seems like it seemed very intimidating at first. The way levels were like incredibly huge. Not just like that they're large, but also the way they often present a lot of different routes. Like this, like there's at any given point, like I think that's, oh, I might fall down. I think that's a real strength of the level design in the original game, that solving like how to get through a level is it's like a fun puzzle, but it never feels overwhelming because you're never given too many options or directions to go. Sound effect. Oh, I see. It's not where I expected it to go. There's never more than like 2 or maybe 3 different ways you can go at any given point, really. So it's rather easy to keep like mental track of all your options. But here, there's no landmarks because everything literally looks identical. And there's many places you can go. You can often go like different directions. There's no real sense of what your overarching goal is. Obviously, you know that you're supposed to go to an exit. And not to say that the original game has maps where every single map lays out like a very clear goal of where the exit is and what you want to do to get there. But I think it's there's something about, and I don't know, I want to say that there's something about the level design in this game that is more kind of ambiguous. But I realize that that can also just be familiarity speaking. Alright, there we go. Dude! Okay. So the game's not perfect. I touched the edge of the platform, which made me crouch somehow. Which made me pull out or put away my sword. And I tried to pull the sword out, but I couldn't do it quickly enough. And if you get hit without your sword out, you die in one hit. So the game has some weirdness like that sometimes. That one, that's a new one though. But yeah, like, it's easy, I guess. Dude, I wonder what's... Can we... The bridge. What's gonna happen with the bridge? Do we have to lower it now? The squeaky corkscrew bridge. It's like on the screen, right? Yeah. Okay. Guess we'll find out. The sound design in this game, man. It's so strange. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Ooh. Akruzen, what is up? The original Prince of Persia is one of my favorite games of all time. I absolutely adore that game. That's, yeah, I was gonna say, I might have... I have not played the original. I haven't played the Apple II version. But I have played through multiple versions of that game on the stream. Most recently, a couple weeks ago, we played through the Mac version, which is a good version. In some ways, not as good as I remembered it, but it's a good version for sure. I think we just go here now. Now there we go. Goes up. There's a number of ports that I'm really eager to check out. I really want to play the PC98 version. Which I believe is kind of the basis for some of the other Japanese versions, like the X68000 and FM Towns versions. Which I think are also partially the basis for the PC Engine version. And I think Arsis also developed the Super Nintendo version, even though that one is very different. But we finished. I ended up not actually finishing the Mega Drive version because it's extremely difficult and kind of weird. But we finished the Mega CD version, which is basically a port of the PC Engine version, which is both of them are a little bit ugly. They're not as good looking as the Mega Drive version, or arguably the Super Famicom version. All right, so well, you know what? I still have my saves, I guess. Keep going. The Mega CD version is a lot uglier than the Mega Drive version, but it actually plays well, so it's really good. I played through the Super Famicom version on stream. We finished the PC Engine and Mega CD versions. I played through most of the Mega Drive version, but I couldn't finish it because it was really, really hard. And we played through the Mac version. I guess the DOS version I haven't really played on stream. Yeah, they're all based on the PC98 version. That's pretty much what I would expect. The weird thing is the Mac version, like the art in the Mac version is very directly based on the PC98 version, but it doesn't have any of the other stuff that's kind of unique to that one. It's, yeah, it's a very peculiar situation because there's so many different ports and a lot of them have something kind of interesting or unique about them. I think the Mega Drive version is probably my favorite in terms of visuals. It also has some original levels. The Super Nintendo version, of course, has a lot of unique levels also. But there's still plenty of versions, official and unofficial, that we haven't played, and at some point it would be super fun to just do them all like kind of back to back, but or as many versions as I could comfortably do in a single day or something. But I would want to do a little bit of practice and stuff and plan it out a little bit. And we're already getting kind of Prince of Persia overload. I mean, I love the games, but I have a lot of other stuff I want to play also. I guess let's take a look. I don't know how far. I wish I could have put a new save slot for each level, honestly, but time is running out, and I have no idea how many levels these 40-something minutes will have to last us. But yeah, from what I've seen, the Apple II version, I'm sure plays fine. But it does have a lot of slowdown. Alright, that works at least. So this is kind of weird. Like, I guess I have to sacrifice that hit. But if I kill this guy, he'll be dead. He might even individual hits, like maybe damage carries over. But since you can't see the enemy life bars, you wouldn't know. Well, we're taking care of that guy at least. It has a lot of doors, and a lot of them are kind of placed a little strangely. And they all close very quickly. Like, just the use of doors in this game is it feels strange and different. In a lot of kind of subtle ways. Yeah, I don't know much about Apple II. Well, I was gonna say Apple II emulation. I don't know much about Apple II, period. I just know I've seen video of the original game where, like, if there's like an enemy and a trap on screen, it like crawls to like quarter speed. I mean, even some of the console versions have a lot of slowdown. Like the Super Nintendo version has a shit ton of slowdown. the Mega Drive version on some of the screens in the later levels where there's like a lot of falling platforms and stuff. There's a lot of slowdown. But I do kind of like the look of the Apple II version. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite, but there are aspects. I think the like the Shadow Prince looks really interesting in that version because he's kind of like ghostly and transparent and weird. I mean, it's almost a little bit abstract because of the limited color palette and everything. So it ends up having kind of a different vibe to it. Yeah, I know that 4D Prince of Persia is like a thing, and there are like a lot of. See, it's so strict. You have to wait for it to close because when you open it like this, the time it takes for it to open up, like the timer before it closes, doesn't actually start until it's fully open. So you have to make use of the time while it's opening to get to the door. Otherwise, you don't have enough time to make it through. Very strict. Amiga version slows down a lot. Doesn't surprise me. And yeah, the world of custom Prince of Persia maps and mods and stuff is definitely something that's intrigued me for a very long time. But I've just never gotten around to looking into it too much. I mean, partially because there's so much official stuff that surely one of these is gonna. Yeah. All the official ports and games and stuff and versions of the original games kind of kept me occupied. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, to me, I would like to see or make, if it came to that, a version, like, yeah, fixing the Mega Drive version so that it actually plays properly. Combat, by the way, is completely fucked in that version too, because there's no counterattack. You can parry, but it's useless because you get pushed back and you can't fight back. Like, the Mega Drive version is like weirdly close to being my favorite, despite the fact that it's like borderline unplayable. Because I think it has, to me, it has like kind of my favorite atmosphere. I wouldn't say the original levels are the best, but I do like them. Well, I'm not gonna make it in time. Obviously, the Super Famicom version is really, really cool. I like almost everything they've added to it. But it has a very kind of muddied look. It's got some questionable sound effects. Like, it might still actually be my favorite. But that's also because, again, the Mega Drive version is such a weird beast. But yeah, what I would like to see is like some kind of an ultimate like mega mix version, which wouldn't necessarily make for the best game, simply because it'd make the game longer and everything too. But like having, just for the sake of having it, it would be very interesting to have a version that has like all the content, all the levels, from the Mega Drive version. Fucking hell. And the Super Nintendo version. Alright, I guess we fucked up. Yeah, the Super Nintendo version is very long. Like, I think the Mega Drive version has 4 additional levels. But what's really fucked up is it has 4 extra levels, but still 60 minutes. And it's harder because you die a lot easier because the jumps are way harder. We made it to the final stage. I can't remember. Maybe we did eventually clear it. I guess we probably did, but it was really stupid because, like, after you after you defeat the Shadow Prince, you have to, instead of, you know, because in every other civilized version of that game, you like absorb the shadow, and you like these invisible platforms appear. You can walk over the gap. That still happens in the Mega Drive version, but instead of the entire gap being like filled with invisible tiles, you do have to make a perfect full-length jump, because like the first 3 tiles will not appear. It's messed up. Okay. 3 tiles should have been enough, but oh well. Nah, thank you, Derek Dancing, for the reminder. I don't mind the look of the Super Nintendo version, but I definitely don't love it. There's a lot of weird little dead ends and stuff like that, and it's like the level design definitely feels unrefined in this. And that's kind of what I mean too about, like, if you take the entire Super Nintendo game and then put the Mega Drive levels in that also, like, yeah, I don't think it makes the game better. That's interesting. These guys didn't die. To go through the door, that's just gonna be weird and awkward. I have to remember where everything is. Vaguely recall there not being much I wanted to do there. I hesitated, so now I have to wait. Like, I know that there's modding and stuff of the DOS version or 4D or whatever, but and even if you could sort of inject the Mega Drive art into the DOS version, you still wouldn't get, like, it wouldn't look the same because there's more variety in the tiles and stuff like that you wouldn't necessarily get. So it would take a little bit more work than that to kind of redress it fully. There's a few things, because I remember what kind of led me to playing the Mega Drive version in the first place was I'd gotten my EverDrive not that long before, and I was kind of browsing for ROM hacks for Mega Drive games, and I found that there was a hack for Prince of Persia that removed the flashing screens, or like the screen transition. Like whenever, in every screen transition on the Mega Drive version, the screen fades to black. And like the game is still running. So if you're like running at full speed, you're gonna be like a full tile into the next screen before it's actually loaded and stuff like that, which also is not good. Whenever you or an enemy takes damage in combat, there's like a full screen flash. And I think that hack removed some of that stuff, which absolutely makes the game more comfortable to play. But unfortunately, it doesn't affect like the real problems of the game. I'm gonna assume this does not open that door. But we found what I assumed to be the exit. It looks the same as other doors, so you can't know for sure. But I think, on the one hand, it's a shame that some of these versions have a lot of these quirks and issues. But in some other way, I kind of appreciate the fact that there really is no one definitive version of Prince of Persia. Which by extension makes a lot of them worth playing. Oh, that's gonna fall. Oh, good. I forgot which one it was. Like, if someone had never played Prince of Persia, I would probably recommend the DOS version or some variant thereof, because it's probably the easiest to get running, and I know it works well. It's representative of what the game is, etc. I absolutely have no issues with that version, for sure. It's obviously very, very good. But I think there's more kind of interesting stuff to, let's say, if not the Mac version, at least, like, I don't know, the PC Engine or Mega CD version. The Super Nintendo version has a lot of cool stuff going for it. But I guess I would probably recommend... Is where I go? Yeah. Right, this is where I... Fucking hell. Well, I died slightly different, but... similar enough. I feel like it's probably easier to appreciate both the good and bad of a lot of different versions if you have some kind of baseline. It's interesting that it has MT32 support. Don't think I've heard what that sounds like. So weird that... Oh, no. It's not weird at all. I just realized what it's because... it's only on checkpoints that the weird... when you restart at the beginning of a level, it just fully restarts. It's only when you start from a checkpoint that it does it. So even if I kind of remember the route, there's still enough like alternate paths that I keep second guessing where I'm supposed to go and what I'm supposed to do. And I keep wondering like, did I just learn that this is a route that I can take? Maybe it's not the route. Maybe I could go another way and find a life extension or something. Like, yeah, I'm very kind of torn on the look of the Mac version. I used to really like it, and I don't dislike it. But having some degree of familiarity with the look of the original Japanese computer versions, it's hard not to look at the Mac version and see a very crude approximation of the original graphics. Like, the way the prince is redrawn, for example. I mean, you can see it here. Of course, the graphics look worse in this game, but like the shading on the pants is very strange looking. Like the silhouette and the animation and everything looks great. Forgetting where to down here. No, I went down and there's the exit thing, right? Yeah, flat looking, lacking tile variation. Yeah, it's been a while since I played the DOS version. I've definitely entertained the idea. You know, I'm an artist. I've done a fair amount of pixel art in my day. Just kind of as an experiment, because, you know, there's a lot of animation, but there's not an insane amount, like compared to, you know, fighting game or whatever. Like the character sprites aren't gigantic, and there's not that much of it. So like redrawing a full set of character sprites for Prince of Persia, it's not an absurd amount of work. As I was playing and we were talking about all these different versions recently, like the thought definitely popped into my head, just kind of as a thought experiment, if nothing else. Like, what I wonder, how would I make it look? Because I think, like with the original PC98 art, like it's with the dithering and everything, like it's kind of a strange thing because I think it looks better than the Mac version. But you can at the same time see why they wouldn't just kind of take the PC98 art fully as is, just kind of make some kind of like redrawing it, basically, you know? It's just the way. Alright, that's funny. The way they do it makes it, it's just crude. And it's kind of funny because you can see there are some elements where the textured kind of grit of the PC98 art comes through, like the life bars with the little bottles with the very bright green and blue and yellow kind of highlights, and the skulls around like the exit doors, like stuff like that. There's details where you look at them and you can say like, wow, yeah, I can definitely see like this is a very Japanese PC art looking detail. And then you have the characters, which all look very, very Western Mac game. And a lot of the environment tiles end up somewhere kind of in between. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. Yeah, I decided I want to. Taking that death didn't feel good, so let's do this level and get it right. Nope. Okay, well, that's kind of cool looking. I think that's the first crusher in the castle levels that we've actually seen. So those like patterns were kind of new. I haven't seen those before. But yeah, like I said, you know, I know that Prince of Persia. Is this where I go even? Yep, it is. See, I'm like losing my mind because I'm playing on autopilot, so I end up doing the same things because I'm like following my same intuition, but I don't remember how I got there. So cheap. By the way, I mentioned these guys are supposed to have like bird heads in the original, in Persia 2, rather. But they've just removed like the beaks and faces, so when I look at them now, I just see like shark heads popping out of the water surface. Yeah, this game is full on like program art. This game was made by a single dude, and clearly art is not his forte. The game plays pretty well. Like for a kind of homemade, like my own version of Prince of Persia, like it really doesn't play bad. Like it's got some very weird quirks. But it feels pretty solid. It feels, I mean, significantly better than some of the official versions of Prince of Persia 1. Like, the controls and level design are mostly good. It's not quite the looker, but, you know, that's fine. It doesn't need to be engaging. I mean, imagine if this had art like original art. Imagine if this was all like, you know, maybe they, you know, they could have traced the character sprites or something, but like redrew them and then had like original tile sets for all the levels. It would have been insanely impressive. Like the total package would feel so much more like a real game, like a real fan game. But that's the thing, like, as I mentioned, I know that there is a big scene for custom levels and stuff, but it's not something I'm looked into that much. So I don't know if there is like a vibrant scene of Prince of Persia fan games, like original games like this. And frankly, like, this could be my ignorance speaking, but for such a popular game, like, there really doesn't feel like there are that many kind of clones. Like, yeah, of course, there's a lot of stuff that's very blatantly, you know, inspired by Prince of Persia. You have similar mechanics and stuff like flashback and whatever else, you know, Blackthorn. People tend to put Another World in a similar category, which I don't necessarily fully agree with, but I'm talking about stuff where it's like full on, exactly like this, you know, a Prince of Persia fan game which aims to recreate the look and feel and controls. Like when I think of Prince of Persia clone, to me the game that always comes to mind is Zorro, the Spanish, I think it is, DOS game from like 1995. It's very janky and kind of weird. That's right. I was gonna say, I remember I fell down somewhere. It's not the exit though. Nope. That's not the button you press to pick up a drink. Just FYI. That's the button you press to jump. Which is a very funny mistake to make because I can see why I would press A to jump by mistake, which is the crouch / pick up button. But why I instinctively pressed Y when I should have pressed A, I don't have a good explanation for. But it's just part of the challenge of this game. I think most levels had a checkpoint, by the way. I didn't really think about that, but there might be quite a lot of level left. Yeah. You don't sheath your sword automatically in this game. So every time I win a battle, I just stand there because I'm waiting for the animations. Like, oh yeah, right, I have to do it myself. But yeah, so like this game definitely has mechanics that aren't in the original games. So, like, I'm kind of interested to learn more about if there is a, you know, if there are more games out there like this, or just like how crazy people have gone with sort of mods. Because I saw, that's not the jump button either. Yeah, you can just bring out your sword at any time in this. Which I guess makes you step forward. It's a game where it's very easy to make mistakes. You get careless. Not just careless, if you're not like at your utmost peak attention at any given moment, I guess. When I was grabbing stuff and looking into the Mac version and trying to set up Prince of Persia 2 on the Mac, that's what I might do. It's weird that I didn't actually die from that, because I was like crouching, facing away. There is an Android remake of Prince of Persia 2 that I really want to play. I pressed the B button. Clean slate. Let's try again. But as far as the original releases go, the Mac version is definitely kind of the definitive version of Pre-OP 2, as far as I'm aware. Because they're all like the same Except some versions are missing stuff, and the Mac version has like the unique high-res graphics. How many levels are there in this game? I have no idea. More than 10. Or at least 10. This could be the final stage. I doubt it, but I don't know. I did zero research on this before I started playing it, because I just got this game because I happened to find it on the Xbox store, and I was really confused, and I grabbed it. But there is, if you go to the Xbox product page, there's a URL to the website of the guy who made this game. And I think he has like a walkthrough. So if someone looked at it while I was streaming it last time. I haven't looked at the website myself, but it sounded interesting. But I kind of sort of deliberately did not go check out the website afterwards either, because I guess I kind of want to retain the mystery as far as possible. Because this is a highly mysterious game. But yeah, sorry, I was going to say, when I was doing some of the research, as I was grabbing some of the other versions of the original game, and getting the Mac version set up and everything, I downloaded a bunch of different stuff. I downloaded a bunch of different, ports and versions and whatnot. And there was a download for like 4D Prince of Persia or the DOS version, like some variant of the original game that came with the Super Nintendo levels included. Like some modded version that had those levels, which had me intrigued. I haven't looked at it. It was just a link to a zip file that I downloaded, but some of the additional levels in the Super Nintendo Prince of Persia have like conveyor belts and teleporters. Obviously it's got the boss fights and everything, but even ignoring the boss fights, because those are mostly kind of isolated, you couldn't recreate those levels, at least not, one-to-one, using only the mechanics in the original game. So that definitely had me curious if there was some kind of scripting or something that allowed people to actually create new types of tiles and interactive elements and stuff, which would be incredibly intriguing. But even just working with the original sort of vocabulary, it definitely would be interesting to endeavor to make some original levels. Level design is definitely not really my passion or area of expertise as far as game development goes. But if one were to make custom content for Prince of Persia, obviously, like I said, sure, I wouldn't mind taking a stab at redrawing the prince to see what that might look like. But obviously making levels is like the interesting part of making stuff. I don't know what the game is. Yeah, I have a browser tab open somewhere in one of my 52 windows about the Atari 8-bit version, because that came out just at the end of last year, right? Very recently. Just from looking at, like, screenshots. Oh, what the hell? I didn't mean to go into that door. And, like, forum thread reactions. It seemed pretty impressive. So, yeah, I'm definitely kind of, like, with Mega Drive development being an increasingly popular thing, and the source code of Prince of Persia is freely available on the internet, it would be interesting to see if someone, the Mega Drive happens to be one of my favorite consoles. It would be interesting to see someone make, like, if not try to patch the original commercial version. I almost started running and I would have killed myself. Like, create an original port for it and see, what that might be like. Alright, I got the right button this time. Try to turn around. I was gonna say, I can't go through the spiky thing, so... But yeah, like, if you're familiar with the original game, I'm sure looking at this is, like, sort of, disconcerting almost. Like, it looks like Prince of Persia, but everything is a little bit off. it's got this very bootleg vibe to it. So I don't remember where this leads. A lot of levels in this game are like that. You go on this very roundabout journey. You end up somewhere where you've been a long time ago. But somewhere at some point, you activated a switch or you dropped a thing somewhere. In this case, I guess that's not really the case. And you finally are able to, you know, move past some other obstacle. This was just a long detour for a health refill, which didn't necessarily seem worth it here, but... So I mentioned that I was sort of prompted to look into the Mega Drive version. I mean, I'd played it as a kid, but I didn't really remember anything. The only thing I remembered about it was liking the graphics a lot. I didn't at all remember that it played so weirdly. For the sake of it, just go up here and check. I might have fucked up by dropping back here, having failed to do something that I was supposed to do. I don't know. But I know where something that I think the exit is. So I guess we can just go another lap and go back there and see if that's maybe open. In addition to my Mega Drive EverDrive cartridge, I also have a Game Boy EverDrive, and I recently, as I was doing all this other stuff and setting up and grabbing all these other versions, I did grab the Game Boy version, the original Game Boy port, and I played like half of stage 1 just to see that I got it all running, that it was working, because I hadn't actually used my this is like my I got the Game Boy EverDrive like 2 years ago, and I hadn't actually used it yet, so I wanted to make sure that it actually worked properly with my Super Game Boy and everything. So I tried it out real quick, and boy howdy is the Game Boy version strange. Okay, so that door was previously closed, I'm pretty sure. And that's why you sneak past every screen transition. Yeah, this game is a little bit of a dick. Which is a quality that I greatly admire of the original game. The first Prince of Persia is never really a dick to the player. And that's one of the biggest differences in Prince of Persia 2. Like, the original Prince of Persia can be difficult, it can be unforgiving. But it doesn't have a lot of gotcha moments like that. There's maybe a couple here and there, but they're few and far between for sure. But Prince of Persia 2 definitely kind of plays a little bit more with your expectations. It sort of expects you to have a degree of familiarity with the game, and in some cases sort of fucks with you for following intuition and doing stuff that would make sense in the context of the original game. And that's definitely something where I feel even playing maps, like playing levels in ports of the original Prince of Persia, you can just kind of instantly tell, like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like a Jordan Mechner level. Like, this feels like it was made by someone else, because it's one of those things where my appreciation for the level design in the original game has like increased greatly from playing other levels. Which isn't to say that those other levels are always bad, and oh, I get a better sense for how good these other levels are by comparison. It's more about the fact that when you play through the original Prince of Persia, there's this sense of every map just being the way it is, because of course it is, because how else would you design levels? Lord Abs with 26 viewers rating. What's up, folks? Welcome, welcome. We're playing a very normal Prince of Persia game. We're playing the fan-made Prince of Persia 2.5, The Crystal Castle, on the Xbox Series X. This was a game that is released for free on Xbox, but also on Windows and Android, I believe. That I pressed the wrong button, but okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't realize you can do that. Alright. I went on the Xbox Marketplace because I was going to look for some stuff regarding some other Prince of Persia games. And then I searched for Prince of Persia and I found this, and I'm like, what the heck is this, and why is this on Xbox? I only have a few vague answers to either of those questions. But what I can say is that the game is pretty good. You might not think to be impressed looking at the visuals, but it actually plays really well. You're having a real time with your internet service provider, I hear. I'm sorry to hear that, Abs, but I appreciate you bringing your friends here, and I hope you guys are enjoying this. Yeah, I believe, I don't know this for a fact because the game is a little coy on the details, but I believe we may be in the titular Crystal Castle currently. We played through several levels of caves and got to the top of a mountain where, after drinking a potion, we were able to jump onto a cloud, land on it, and ride the cloud to whatever this place is. But yeah, what am I doing? I'm not going to jump through that. Okay. I guess your hitbox shifts backwards when you jump up. That makes sense, I guess. Yeah, the game is a strange mix of extremely crude programmer art, very professionally ripped art assets from various previous Prince of Persia games. Like, the prince himself is from the Mac version of POP1, scaled a little incorrectly. Like, the sprite alignment is all messed up. Anytime you do certain things, he kind of wiggles around a little bit because the alignment is off-center. These guys are very slightly redrawn versions of an enemy from the DOS version of Prince of Persia 2, which is why you can see the pixel sizes are completely different. We haven't seen them in these levels, but in the first set of levels, the standard enemies are skeletons. And those skeletons are also from Prince of Persia 2. But those sprites are, like, very crude and strange in a different way, because they're, like, all extra blurry. It's really weird. I think the music is entirely or mostly taken from Prince of Persia 2. But, like, you can obviously quite clearly tell what's an original art asset and what isn't. A lot of the sounds, like, are taken, like, this is just from the original, like, the DOS version of 1, I guess, the jaw traps. Manic Ascendant, what is up? Lemon Fortress, yeah. I don't know. The potted plants are purely decorational, and is that a word? Decorative? I don't know. They don't do anything. They look very similar to the potions, but they are in fact just for looks. The weird thing is that all of the decorative elements, which is funny thinking about it, it's such a programmer decision, but all of the decorative elements, which, I mean, there's not a lot of them, but there's the potted plants and there's these little pillars. They're all randomly generated, basically. There's they're not in like set positions, they're just random. And that becomes obvious because they are randomized every time you die or replay the level. So if you redo a level, like you know, the environments already don't really have any landmarks. So whenever you see a little pillar, or you know, in the caves there's these rocks and formations and stuff, you are kind of primed to like take those as like, okay, yeah, I recognize where this pillar is, so I know this room from the next. And then you die and you redo the stage, and then you're like, wait, hang on, wasn't there a pillar here? Or like, was this pillar here last time? It's like, nope, it actually changes every time. And when I say that's like a programmer decision, I feel like it's such a thing where making this games, you know, the dude had the idea to like, oh yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, I'm not maybe looking to exercise the most artistic of muscles to determine the exact tile location for a potted plant or a pillar. You know, why don't I just write a function to, you know, I can tell the game where it's okay to put a pillar and where it's not, and I'll just leave it up to the game to randomly distribute those in some appropriate fashion, without necessarily considering the implication that might have beyond just decoration. Not to say that it's a major problem or anything, but it's a little bit strange, and I think the supposed benefit, if there is such a thing, that you could get from having randomized decorations in the level, in the context of the visuals being so sparse otherwise, don't seem worth the potential like confusion from the few landmarks that are there now, making it like sort of less, making locations less recognizable. How are we doing in the Citrus Castle? Well, I'm not necessarily making it further on every attempt. So I didn't press the crouch button. I just got close enough to the door where the game decided that I need to crouch. And whenever you stand up from crouching, you move forward. That was it's an interaction that I can see how it makes sense, but it's not at all what I wanted, and it's killed me. So yeah, sometimes that happens, and we're not making it further than our previous attempt on every single attempt. Slowly but surely, we are kind of getting a little bit further. But I have loaded the save game to redo this level a number of times because we're rapidly running out of time. So the game, much like Persia 1 and 2, gives you a time limit to complete the game. Time limit doesn't start on level 1, but it starts after like 2 like shorter introductory levels, basically. See, same thing happened there. I got forced into a crouch from the door. When the time limit starts in this game, it gives you 3 hours, which is a lot, you know, for a Prince of Persia game. We're on level 10, and we have 22 minutes left. Now, of course, you know, 60 minutes is plenty to finish the original game, assuming you know the game. If you're kind of going in blind, you're definitely not going to beat that game first try. So, You know, sure, there's been some very cheap deaths, but I bet if I were to replay this from the beginning and I remember at least vaguely some of the level designs, I'm sure I would get back here with a lot more time left than this. But because I would kind of like, if possible, to make it through the game without starting over from the beginning, at this point, I kind of want to load my save. The thing is, though, because I haven't done so on every single death... Oh yeah, if you press the B button, you get dropped down in the menu. That's a pretty cool feature. It doesn't quit the game, thankfully. You can continue from where you were, but it's still a little disorienting. Oh, here. 41, yeah. Like, I don't know how much of the game is left. Probably a fair bit. And if possible, I would like to see if I can get through the rest of it. But it might be pretty tough. What's up, Pocket Raptors? Yeah, the random stuff, like I said, strikes me as something where, like, hey, I could add this. So why not? You know? And you know, you could manually place items, yes, sure. But if you manually place something, then you would have to manually place every single thing. If you write a function to place things for you, you only have to do that once, right? That makes sense. I think I need a break. This game is intense. It is a lot of fun, I'm enjoying it, but I'm also thinking, again, in terms of the whole time limit thing, regardless of how long our remaining 40 minutes are going to last us, given that I can and will load my save game multiple times, whether that will bring us to the end of the game or not, I think it'll be enough. You know, if I make it to the end of the time limit and we end there, that's probably going to be a natural end point for tonight's stream anyway. It's not like I'm going to start a new game over from the beginning tonight. So I'm going to continue sort of save scumming and see how far we can make it. But for all I know, we might not even complete stage 10. You know? We'll see. In any case, I need a little bit of a break. This game is quite intense. I'm enjoying it a lot, but it requires a lot of focus. So I'm gonna go AFK for a couple of minutes. We'll listen to some jams. I might, if I remember, try to play a short ad while I'm not doing anything anyway, to prevent more ads later on when I'm actually playing games. But if you're seeing an ad, don't be alarmed. You're not gonna miss anything. But I'll be back in a little bit anyway. Take care and see you guys in a couple of minutes. All right. I'm back. Let's, I think I just loaded, but to be safe, let's load our save file again and see. You know, we started on level 9 tonight, and I think we started at the beginning of level 9 because we did get through a checkpoint at one point. Let's see if we can clear more than one level tonight. Turn it down a little bit. I want to say again that most stages, I think, have had a checkpoint, and we have yet to reach a checkpoint on level 10, so there might still be a lot of level left. I've also had plenty of deaths, so maybe it's just a little harder. Yeah, anytime you save, it'll always, it'll put you at the beginning of the... I remember doing a little bit of testing last time. And whenever you load a save, you'll always start at the beginning of the level. Or maybe at the checkpoint, I forget if I tested that. But I'm not sure how it treats time. So let's say you spend 5 minutes in a level and then save. Even if you're at, like, the end of the level. Even if, like, I can see the game starting you off at the starting point. But I would be, like, kind of impressed if the game makes record of what the time was when you first got to the entrance, as opposed to just noting what the time is when you hit the save button, you know? So I feel like it's very possible. I don't remember, because it's been a few weeks since we played this. I don't remember if I tested this and double-checked it, but it seems perfectly plausible to me that if you hit the save button, it'll save the exact amount of remaining time while taking away any progress you've actually made in the level. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm operating under that assumption. That was also kind of late, but we made it through. At this point, I don't remember specifically me testing and making sure that the saving always puts you at the start of the level. But I do have a vague recollection that I did test it, and that's... Like, I don't remember doing it, or seeing it, but I remember the memory of having done it, if that makes sense. Oh, Jesus Christ, that went very poorly. Well, I guess if we find our way back, I'll take the... No, that's right, okay. If we make it to the health extension, you actually get full health. By the health extension. I don't remember if I actually have to fight another guy before that, though. If I do, we might be in deep shit. Fighting is actually pretty difficult in this. You know, broadly it operates just the same as the original games, but the enemy placement is a little bit awkward at times. And pressing up to block on an analog joystick is a little bit clunky. But mostly it feels like, and I don't know this for a fact, but it kind of feels... I can't say definitively without comparing, but it feels like your ability to sort of take a step forward and then block. It's not necessarily that it's impossible to do, but the timing with which I attempt to parry stuff as I'm coming out of an attack or out of a movement, it doesn't seem to work with the timing I try to do it based on just gut instinct from playing other, you know, versions and games, other Prince of Persia games. So it's not necessarily that the game is a lot stricter, but my... Yeah, let's not lean back into the trap. My attempts at doing it don't always succeed. Right, so we got back here, and there's no need to go to the left to get that health extension, or health refill done. Yeah, too slow. The door timers are extremely strict. How does poking the ceiling break the floor? Well, it's not the act of poking the ceiling. Poking the ceiling can actually break the ceiling if it's breakable. But it's you jumping and landing on the floor. That will shake loose any, well, will drop, I guess, any already loose tiles. And that's a mechanic in the original game. Alright, trying to remember. I think this is where, like, again, there's a lot of levels in this game that has this kind of repeating pattern where you go multiple sort of laps around. I think running through this screen transition might have been what killed me last time. The door below was, yeah. So, I don't want to go up there. Can I go down to someplace I didn't? That's no help. How am I helped by this door being open now? Oh, maybe I'm actually supposed to go back up here and go through a different set of doors? The levels are really tricky in this. Like this game definitely expects you to have played the other games. So if I go here... Man, I should have actually tried the other door, because I don't remember where that takes me. This was from back here. The right door here probably does that too, but just to be sure. Yes, okay. Well, I could... Right, okay, I'm just thinking... I know there's one other place that we haven't been yet that has, like, doors and stuff, which may be... So I know the middle door takes me back up, but this probably takes me back. Yeah. Okay, so let's ignore this for a second. And... go down here. That's closed. But I can get through this door now. I don't have to go down the long way around. But if I go through here and go down, I feel like that definitely looks like a switch up there, but I don't think it is one. Fucking hell. Okay. Well, I don't want to make a blind drop here, because it will likely kill me. It will possibly kill me, and that's bad enough, as far as I'm concerned. It's enough of a risk that I'm not willing to take it just now. But this should lead me back to where I dropped the tiles on the dude. No, okay, right. Yeah, so I could have possibly jumped towards this ledge where I'm standing right now, somehow, finagled my way down there, but... Okay, so, if I go down here... That's the door, yeah, I passed through that door previously. At the bottom here is the door, which I think probably is maybe the exit through here. But I'm pretty sure we have not opened that door yet. Nope. So, as far as I can judge things, basically everything we've done in this level has been in the service of getting back to where we were, with nothing new or different. So, it is entirely possible that I simply missed some loose tile dropping on some switch somewhere. Because we've definitely come through multiple, or not through, but reached multiple gates like this where, and that's kind of a common thing in this game. Maybe walk through and check it out. Where you go through a series of screens and in one of them there's a closed gate. And just going through everything, by the time you come back to it, just by nature of having trekked around and done a bunch of other shit, there's the exit door. Okay, so I could have finished this stage long ago. Going up back here must have been for the benefit of getting the health extension. That's the whole point of it. I just didn't realize or find, because the like noise, that's the sound of the exit door opening. I'm actually gonna redo the level. We're doing pretty well on time, but I just want to like make. Can we? Fuck! I don't want to save. Ah, fuck it. We'll keep going. Because the thing is, there have been multiple stages that we've seen before also where you kind of get to the exit, but you can just kind of run past it and keep going, and there's stuff to find, and there's like a health extension. Hasn't been like that in like quite a bit, but there we go. I didn't realize that was the case in this level, but the thing where we got the health extension and then came back to earlier in the level, I thought I was making progress and doing stuff that I had to do. Not realizing that what I in fact was doing was making a detour in order to get extra health. But because combat can be pretty rough, it's pretty nice. But at the same time, don't have a lot of time. But hey, we've cleared at least 2 stages. So that's pretty nice. But yeah, I mentioned this before, but one of the really major differences in level design in this game compared to the original game is that a lot of these like giant open spaces and very sprawling, not maze-like design necessarily, but like at any given point, like you might have like anywhere between 4 and 6 directions and places you might be able to go. Hitboxes, which is not really ever a thing in the original game. The game is quite restrained typically with not giving you too many options. This game kinda doesn't give a fuck. Which can be a little overwhelming at times. Yeah, that doesn't really work the same way, so I drop a tile on it, so that's permanently open now. In the original game, there's more of a delay before a loose tile will fall. So I would have been able to sort of crouch. No, that's the wrong button. To avoid, because when you stand up from a crouch, you have iframes. And you can use that to avoid taking damage from falling tiles. But not in this game, because they fall instantly. Yeah, so there's so many, like, just the Okay. Alright, we got some sick original programmer cave wall etchings here. I mean, that's some kind of a magical potion. I can only assume that it's gonna let us walk on air, so we can walk over to that top right-hand side, which is presumably the exit, and the switch there is gonna presumably open the exit. That's another thing this game does a lot of, like having switches right by the door. Like, it's very unusual. even what we just saw in the previous level, having the exit, the switch to open the exit door, and the door itself be like several screens apart is like kind of unusual in this game. See, like, there's a lot of situations like that where I'm stepping forward into their attack. Just the rhythm and pacing of the attacks and how combat feels in this game is just different enough. See, the hitboxes are so disjointed. I pressed the B button. I think mechanically, the combat is probably the stuff that feels the most different. Everything else is like distinctly not the same. Oh, okay. Okay, well. I wasn't sure if he would detect me if I was hanging. Thinking maybe that would allow me to fall down faster. Ready up more quickly, but like, holy shit. Press the B button. It's perfectly plausible to me that enemies might be a little more aggressive than earlier on, which is fine. But what's getting me killed isn't necessarily that the game is too hard. I just struggle to get a feel for the rhythm. It doesn't help when my fucking sword hitbox ends at the hilt. Like a majority of my sword is overlapping his body. Not hitting. His hitbox is like one full tile further back than it looks. And mine is like in front of me. It's harder to kind of push them against walls and stuff too. Like, I'm pushing forward to put myself in the correct range. Okay, I got the tech. Okay. So here's the tech. You know that you can, you can attack like this. You can parry like this. And you can do this parry into an attack. It turns out that doing the counter attack, the parry and then attack, is actually slower than waiting for the parry to finish and then doing a regular attack. So by doing the counter attack, I pretty much prevented myself from being able to actually counter attack. But if you just wait for the parry animation to finish, you can attack more quickly. That's what you do. Oh yeah, right, there's some like super loose tiles in this game that just drop instantly. That's kind of weird, that's not in the original. But yeah, so there's certainly some quirks. Whoop, okay, well, I'm not going back up that way. But as I said before, like, the game is mostly consistent. It's not necessarily consistent with the behavior of the original game. But it's largely internally consistent, and that's what matters the most. Doing those kinds of jumps, grabbing ledges, that shit is still immensely satisfying. Alright, so the brown large potions are generally health extensions. I don't think the game is like, for as okay as this game is with being a dick, it at least doesn't seem to ever really screw you over with confusing potion designs. This game is just... Whoa, didn't pause, okay. I guess I just pressed B. This game is just on the store. You search for Prince of Persia and you get this game. So I guess technically it's an Xbox One game. I'm playing it on my Series X. I guess you can also go to you can go to the developer's page on his uh the University of Washington, I guess, math department website, um, where you can read more about the game, and I think you can download the. I think there's a Windows version also. Oh shit, 4K. Yeah, Universal Windows. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Oh yeah, it even says on the bottom right there: PC, Series X, Xbox One. Oh, dude, ratings and review. Average rating. What do you say, guys? I'm not sure. It's not exactly 5 stars, but it's an easy 4 stars for sure. Actually, I'm a big fan of this guy. Let's 5 stars. There we go. Not enough for ratings for an average. That's fine, but pretty good. Anyway, let's continue playing. So I mean, yeah, I know about the whole UWP stuff, and it makes sense that this is what this would be. It's still baffling to me that this is just on the Xbox store, filled to the brim with like clearly copyright infringing assets. I'm not personally upset that that's the case, but I am a little bit baffled. Like I said, I just happened upon this game and was just taken aback, perplexed. It just happened that it's actually a pretty good game and pretty fun to play. But every other aspect of it is just as puzzling as when I first saw it. Alright, so there's a switch up there, and doors close super duper fast. I just want to see if I can... Yeah, I figured that would be good. Actually, that was not the worst thing. I mean, I died. That's terrible. But it gave me some data, because it told me that the door on the bottom actually opened. But I don't think there's a way I could actually have made it down there in time to grab that potion. But because it's a health extension potion, I'm willing to guess that it's completely optional. Right, that's this. We're still fully in the research and data gathering phase of this level. Like anytime you come to a new stage, you have to kind of get your bearings a little bit and figure out what the stage is even kind of about and what you can do. See, if I just wait for the parry to recover, I go back to my neutral stance faster, and I can kind of hit him in his recovery. He can still kind of block, but I can still attack much faster. Man, he's doing a lot of counterattacking. Just got it from the Windows. Oh, I pressed the B button. Yeah, I guess if you have Windows 10, you can just grab it on the Windows Store. That makes sense. And frankly, I guess it would kind of play better on a... I was holding this. Okay. It probably plays better on a keyboard because playing on a controller, the D-pad does nothing. This clicking. You have to use the analog stick, which is terrible. But it's probably some kind of default behavior with some stock controller input libraries or some shit. I don't know. It's perfectly playable, just not morally defensible in any way. Like forced analog controls in 2D games with zero analog functionality is just... It's what I'm willing to put up with to play Prince of Persia 2.5. But it's not, you know, it's not okay. Windows 11, well, yeah, same difference, I guess. Is this where I'm going? I don't remember. Yeah, because this will take me back. Yeah, right, because once I fall down here, I can't go back up. Forgot about the screen. Yeah, it's kind of funky too, because the original game runs at a very low frame rate. It's like 15 FPS or something. But it's not a problem, because everything in the game is sort of designed around it and operates on that frame rate. But as you can see in this game, a lot of this game does not, you know, is not limited to a low frame rate. Moving platforms, doors, traps, all kinds of shit moves at like 60 FPS. Oh wait, I just thought of something. Okay. If I drop down... Yeah. Sick. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know how to progress at this point. But... Oh, wait. Okay. Right. Let's put this back here. Okay, so this was the health extension detour. We just talk about the randomized elements. That's pretty cool. All right, so once again we have it's funny. The concept of accidental progress has come up frequently. I think it first started coming up when we were playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow. And in like a 3D action game like that, you find yourself frequently in some kind of figurative fork in the road, and you're not sure which way leads to progress and which way leads to like optional shit to collect. And it's always a frustrating experience to accidentally move in the direction of forward progress when in fact you wanted to collect everything first. But this game, we're having kind of the opposite problem where I sort of want to get through stuff as quickly as possible, and I end up without a super clear distinction as to which road will take me where. I end up taking these health extension collecting detours. I mean, at least I get something out of it, but... That flying diamond will kill you instantly. Okay, it doesn't go further than that, which means I can't wait for it to, like, go... I need to go through that gate if... Oh, shit. Alright, we're good. So, down here... Alright, we got more doors and puzzles. Okay, that was close. I rushed through that door because... Or the gate. Because the gates close super quickly in this. I figured that other staircase door probably was for... in case I didn't have time to go through the door, or the gate. Because this has, like, actual doors, I feel like I need to clarify. Or I need to distinguish between doors and gates. That's a different looking potion, okay. Might hurt us. I mean, we're in the data collection phase, we might as well collect some data. Granted, if I'd been at less than full health, I would have... Still a wall on the right? Yeah, okay. There's no way this is like a gravity potion or something. It's not a very inviting blue color, but... Oh, okay, yep. Well, we've got a long enough health bar that taking off one of them... it's a perfectly acceptable sacrifice for the data we collected. so many screens. There's such a large space to explore. Everything looks the same. This game is very overwhelming. Having said that, I have been able to make steady progress, and whenever I've cleared a stage, I can usually kind of piece together after the fact, like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. I can understand what the sort of concept was here. And, you know, sometimes you might not have understood what a switch did when you came across it, but yeah, you kind of piece together stuff after the fact, which, granted, is less satisfying. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the game not really presenting sort of obstacles and goals in a very clear way. Okay, so I figure once I go up, that diamond is gonna come towards us. I have to drop down. I think I'm just gonna have to take the hit. I pressed B. Sorry about that. Because I'm not gonna have time to start climbing down and shit. Alright, okay, never mind. Diamond did not start coming after us. That actually worked out super well anyway. Okay, this is probably the exit. No! Fucking hell. This took us back. I had to press up to jump, but I was close enough to the doorway to go through. That sucks. I'm sure that tile would have dropped on a switch, which is going to open some gate somewhere. See, that's the game being a dick. Putting these doors and gates right next to each other, switches and everything. But yeah, I think the fact that the levels don't really telegraph goals and objectives ahead of time, it adds to the sense of sort of overwhelmingness. See, if I'd somehow opened that gate down there, that would have been... Maybe that's what the button does up there. Like, it's not just the sheer size of the maps. There's a lot of contributing factors. Yeah, that pink thing will crush you if you run under it. I think I did the exact same thing last time, of realizing, very last moment, that I need to actually sneak. Kind of a double-edged sword in a way, because... okay. On the one hand, like, stages end up being sort of less satisfying in a way. Because you kind of finish it, and only after the fact do you kind of piece together what happened. But there is a very peculiar and specific sense of satisfaction to being able to piece together, like to go from a state of kind of confusion to clarity over, like, oh yeah, okay, I understand now. Maybe that's just glass half full sort of way to look at it, of like, that was maybe a little too close, but it's like not necessarily a good design, but it but I can find something to like appreciate about it. Alright, so I wonder if that maybe opens the exit. You know what, I could actually even jump across. Of course it doesn't. I could jump back too, so this should be perfectly safe. But let's see what we find. Yeah, that little weird Wile E. Coyote thing. Oh, so that gate's open now. I see. So we can actually get back up there. So what's this other door then? I guess that's maybe not the exit on the top right. Yeah, this is right here. Well, we'll try drinking the Frankenstein's monster potion and see if we can walk on air. I'm a little scared to try it, but got 9 minutes left, so no time like the present. Whoa, that was a weird screen flip. But I mean, that's like pretty sick. Oh, that was the exit. Okay. It's sick that the game is able to communicate that. Like, it's a little bit of guesswork and it's a little bit of uncertainty, and I don't know, somehow it just aligns perfectly with this game's incredibly mysterious atmosphere. That's like, it's so weird and a little bit creepy and hard to make sense of. But it's like, I think that's probably what's going on. And yeah, turns out it was. 9 minutes though. So, I'm trying to think of... Yeah, surely we can do that level faster. Fuck it, I'm gonna actually load here. Yeah, 30 minutes. Okay, so... I'm not gonna bother with the health extension. That's basically dropping down here is all about that. This is, up here is where the real rest of the level is. Or so I thought. Ah, okay. Yeah, that works. And this is like partially just me experimenting to get a sense of the difference in like how long it would take to beat a level a little more directly. Because we got here at 30 and we got to the next stage with 9 minutes previously. And that was with collecting the health extension, but I think it was also with, if not deaths, at least with a little bit of putzing around. If I'm trying to be efficient here. I'm curious how much more time we can have. Like, it's not realistically much more than being able, like, let's say we have 20 minutes for the next stage. Actually, it should be more than that, honestly. Well, let's say for the sake of argument, we have 20 minutes. It's not gonna let us clear that many stages. Well, we don't need to collect the poison. Yeah, these like mid-air wall collisions and stuff are definitely a little bit funky. The situation doesn't exactly come up frequently in the original game, but I feel like when it does, it doesn't quite behave that way. But I'm not sure, because it doesn't really come up often. This is, oh, okay, not the screen I thought. Oh, right, we have to get past diamond, yeah, and then there's the other diamond on the upper screen. Right, I forgot. I don't think you die as soon as it just touches a single pixel, but... Pretty sure you get a health refill. There's not really combat to worry about here anyways. Yeah, now this thing crap moves slowly again. Oh, strange. So I don't need to... I'm not ever going to want to go through this door anyway. So I can just do this. Well, okay, that's not quite true. I actually need to go through that door to go back. It's possible that I could actually drop down here somehow, but I'm not gonna find out. Not today. Yeah, I mean, this door takes you back immediately exactly to where you want to be anyway. Fucking love that drawing. I guess technically you probably could drop down to grab that potion. If the effect of the air walking potion is permanent, I'm trying to think if maybe there's some way to go back down to the health extension to kind of collect it from, you know, take the rear entrance, so to speak. But the whole purpose of redoing this level was to do it quickly, so I'm not gonna fuck around. So let's see where we end up. 26, 25. Okay, fair enough. So that was 5 minutes then instead of 21. But that was a short level too. In fact, both of these stages have been pretty short. Let's keep my level 6 save. I want to start over, but not quite from the beginning, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if there's a sensible rationale for it, but... Instantly, multiple pathways here. Singular floating tiles. Bizarre layout. Now every stage just has forced damage. Yeah, you have to kind of like fish for counter hits almost. For it to be on screen. Lights are intense. Oh shit! Dude, I love the outside ambience. It's so good. Sky, a little decorative window. Like, oh dude, it's so good. Oh yeah, there's like the HDR effect of the screen, kind of the brightness changing when you go from outside to inside. Like, is that a doorway? Okay, what the fuck's going on here? Because those unique art assets are so rare, it's like a real treat whenever you come across a unique screen. Let's assume that dropping these won't do anything bad. Is this just gonna drop me out through this doorway that's immediately below me? No, it's not. Okay. Okay, I guess we found the health extension. Seems like it might be a little tricky to get to it and have time to drink it before that thing's gonna kill us, but... give it a shot, I guess. You know, might as well. Yeah, this will change directions and start chasing you as soon as you drop to its level, so I have to wait for it to be as kind of far away as it can be. Alright, no, that's plenty of time. That's so weird. Like, granted, the original game doesn't really have the door mechanic, but I feel like if it did, it definitely wouldn't drop you in midair like that. Did I go up here? I can't recall. Came from here, pretty sure. Okay, what's on my left? Let's not run full speed in case there's an immediate drop. Okay, there wasn't. Good. The fact that you crouch when you get pushed close to an edge like that is really bizarre. At least it didn't get me killed this time. Well, I might as well drop these just so I don't get a nasty surprise. Loose up here? Nope. I was gonna say that's gonna be loose, but it's gonna hit me. Could have maybe crouched there, but I... Okay, so that's, I think, permanently just switch that trap to slow mode. Will allow us to get through it. However, we get back, well, I guess up here. How we get there. Yeah, like so many screens allow you to exit them in so many places. So, because we could do that, I assume we're now supposed to go through here. Like most screens in the original game won't let you exit through like 4 different directions or places. Like here, we can go left, right, up, and down, but there's also multiple floors. Like that's like every screen. It feels like it's either that or it's like this. It's just a tiny hallway where you only occupy like a tiny little corner of each screen, or both, like here. So that's the starting screen. Okay, I wanted to see if tap this to see if okay, no, nothing loose. So hang on. What am I trying to achieve here? Oh shit, this might be it actually. I can survive the jump over there, but then what? Can I go in here? Oh, sick. Dude, this game is fucking awesome. Okay, now we got literal fucking jumping between buildings and scaling fucking high-rise skyscrapers and shit. How did this game become so good? It's just, I didn't realize this is what I wanted or needed in a Prince of Persia game until now. That was a checkpoint, by the way. We got fucking full-on building scaling in Prince of Persia. Let's go up. Speaking of scaling buildings. Railing. Yeah. So I guess I can go in here? Yeah. I think I can grab this? Nope. Alright. That's pretty far. 19 minutes. We got time for some sightseeing. Yeah, I guess that's a 4-tile gap, not a 3-tile gap. Wait, is there enough room here to do a running jump even? It's hard to tell, but it has to be just barely in case. Oh, no, why did I do that? There's not many places in the original game where you can fall that far. And in this game, it's like, for a dime a dozen. Wait, this isn't the top, no. I don't think there's anything there. So. Flower pots, not a single table. Got it. A way to put them above the floor is on a windowsill. Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, most of them just go on the floor, because why not? Oh. Alright, we got the rhythm down. These guys are chumps now. Yeah, so we got these squeaky corkscrew elevators. They're actually a legitimately pretty interesting mechanic. It's so overwhelming, like how many different ways you can go. Oh, okay, you got pretty quickly. I was kind of looking forward to pushing him off the edge, but stabbing him to death, that works too. I should hydrate more. See, I'm not used to, because I've been sick and at home for a few weeks, I can tell from, like, my voice is I'm like straining my voice just by talking, more than usual because I haven't done it for a bit. So I have to actually try to remember to drink. Alright, there's a switch up there which probably opens this gate if I had to guess. Of course, it's whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Okay, so let's collect some data. Let's see what the heck this is. It did give us full health back. Did it, however, also do something else? We might never know. I think it's probably just a full health recovery. Because it didn't extend the health bar or anything. I didn't mean to do that. I'm not sure how saving works in relation to checkpoints, but we're not gonna find out. Yeah, so now that we're at the checkpoint, and we're starting from the checkpoint instead of restarting the level, the state of the level is not actually reset. We basically respawn at the checkpoint, meaning enemies that we've killed stay dead, and if I raise those elevators, for example, they'll stay raised. Which gets a little weird. I'm not really sure if that's... if there's anything that's kind of designed around that, necessarily, or if it really makes a difference. But it's a little peculiar, for sure. I mean, it's different. Okay, so I can go back. But presumably I'm gonna want to do something up here first. So many switches and gates in this. Oh! Quite ready for that. Yeah, I can like take 2 steps forward, parry once, wait for it to finish, attack, and then kind of repeat. Okay, let's check the ceiling. Was I supposed to have raised the elevator before I got here? Or maybe I can go to the elevator. Oh, okay. Fucking sound effect, man. Yeah, there's some interesting clipping around edges like that sometimes. It's totally fine. Thou must be to take. Okay. Is thou'st a word? I guess it is now. I must be to take. Does that mean I must be a flame to take a black sword, or... Well, let's press the crouch / pickup button and see what happens. I guess I didn't be. I wasn't. So I couldn't take. But that's kind of cool. Like, I don't mind some of that cryptic weird shit. Like, I think it adds so much to the atmosphere where you kind of have to figure shit out, and it's like a little bit unsettling because it's like strange enough to be a little unsettling. I kind of like that. I think it's very appropriate. Oh my god. How the fuck am I gonna make this jump? Okay, so this is where we're back here. Do the timing for this. Oh, that's how you... Okay. That is actually one of the sickest fucking jumps. Not the one I made, but the one you're supposed to make to get down there. Well, I guess maybe not supposed to, because you'll end up to the left side of that gate, and you're probably stuck, or it opens the gate and it just takes you back here. But the jump I made, which I'm actually kind of impressed that I got with no visual cue for the timing, if I didn't grab the ledge, you'd be able to jump down past that ledge and end up on the lower floor, and be immediately greeted by a closed gate, so it wouldn't actually have been as sick as I thought it might. I mean, the jump would have been sick, but it just wouldn't get you anywhere. Guess we can, Oh! Whoa! Did I... Okay. I guess because of the checkpoint thing, maybe we did get to B, despite everything. Is this broken, or was that intended? Kind of curious if what happens if you go there now. Was I supposed to get the flame someplace else? This game, it manages to find new ways to be baffling. Which I honestly kind of love about it. There's like so much of the game's idiosyncratic nature that seems obviously not quite intended, but it just kind of works out. And then there's stuff where it starts to become... that line becomes hazier and hazier for what's an intentional, strange atmosphere and what's just uncanny because it's presented in such a strange way. Like, the entire game has this almost fever dream-like quality to it, which I think actually ends up working really well for the tone and atmosphere, because it's got this kind of... and it's frankly something that I think the original game, as well as Prince of Persia 2 for sure, has that, like, the none of the modern games really ever captured. Not necessarily that they're super weird. But there's an unsettling feel to them. Coincidentally, you know, we were playing a bunch of Metroid games last year before Dread came out, and I think that's definitely a defining feature of those games, right? You feel sort of isolated, and Samus, in a lot of cases, feels kind of vulnerable. And I mean, that's definitely true for the Prince, right? Like, everything is sort of out to kill you, and you are very fragile. but through kind of perseverance and cleverness, you can kind of soldier through, and it has that very satisfying feeling once you're able to overcome the obstacles and everything. But the way the original game just sort of starts off in that dungeon, there's no help anywhere. You just have to rely on your wits, and you are sort of left to your own devices, and like it's not a scary game per se, but there's an element of danger to it. I think especially, you know, playing that DOS version as a kid, you know, the traps and just the death scream when you fall, like that shit is haunting. And I think having these sort of cryptic messages that you're not entirely sure how to interpret adds to that kind of feel of danger and uncertainty, not necessarily in a sense of immediate threat to your life, necessarily, even though maybe. But you just don't feel, it's like a feeling of unease and discomfort, which you don't tend to get in a lot of kind of modern games unless they are very specifically meant to evoke a sense of horror. The equivalent to something like this, that's like a sort of straightforward action game, but with some, you know, platformy, puzzly elements. Oh, okay. I guess it's probably gonna kill me. Just kind of a unique feel to it. So, when I was on that screen, I didn't have the flame sword, which is why I figured that it would just kill me. So I guess I want to find a way to raise that other bridge and get to that black sword on the left side. Is that what I want to do? Same. You know what? Maybe I was actually unbelievably onto something when I was just going on the outside and trying to go to the top left at first. Huh. Because this elevator is where it started. There's a switch on that left side, which presumably will raise this someplace else. So how else would I get there if not by climbing up on the outside? Let's do it. But yeah, I think, like, of course, this game being weird and unsettling. Yeah, that was easy enough. I guess I just didn't do that before. Certainly not, you know, it's... I don't think that was the developer's intention, per se. Oh, that's so weird. But I think it's a happy coincidence that works out. Okay, so that's not correct either. What the actual heck? Okay. Well, you still can go to the top left to that other roof. I kind of can't imagine there necessarily being a lot of stuff there, but I know this platform gives you enough space for a running jump, so let's try it. mean, I guess. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I guess it takes us back there, but I guess not. So, what? So, hmm. What's up, Samp? Wait, you finished this before? That's pretty sick. I'm glad to hear people have actually played this. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of kind of where I've not been, but yeah, like mostly I'm just kind of, which is not easy to keep track of because the maps are so huge. So I went here. I haven't been here. There's a gate down there. Let's take a look. The whole thing with the weird gap and the black sword and the flame sword, and the fact that oh shit! So now I have the black sword. Well, of course, killed me, but I flashed black before I died. But so when I first had the flame sword, and that might just be kind of be a glitch. But yeah, okay, I have been here. I touched the flame and it killed me. And then I went back to the flame, and when I pulled out my sword, when I was standing on that screen, I didn't have the flame. So I touched the flame sword and it killed me. No, wrong button. Oh, we can try this again quickly enough. Well, actually, we're probably gonna game over, but we'll see what that looks like. But when I made it to the flame sword again, I didn't have the flame, and I touched the sword and it killed me. Right, running a show. But when I got to the black sword on the left-hand side, I did have the flame. I have the black sword. And now I don't. Yeah, I don't think this is like quite intended. Oh, now I have the flame sword again. And now I have the black sword. But I probably didn't count. Like, I don't think the solution is to do with like the checkpoint system being weird and letting you kind of carry stuff over after death. 0 minutes. Doesn't show us seconds. It doesn't seem like that would be a thing. Or wait, do I just have... Huh. I just have multiple swords now. I did not realize at all that that's what was going on. It is interesting then. It's again, it's presented in a just about the most confusing way possible. Oh, there's time. Oh shit, is that our shitty castle? Oh no! The kingdom has succumbed to the witch's curse. Pretty sick that there's like an actual bad ending, game over type thing, because that you don't really get that in the original game. It basically just says game over, right? There's no like cinematic of Jafar, like, I don't know, or the princess. Like, I mean, I guess we don't exactly know what happens. Jafar gives the princess an hour to decide, right? So does she marry him, or does she like kill herself or some shit? I guess the game doesn't quite make it explicit. Uh, the original just lets you get to the end, the prince is dead. That's pretty sick. Yeah, I guess it's probably a little bit different in different versions. But we did get the time over in the Mac version, and the game ends and there's just like nothing. Uh, yeah, but yeah, as I said before, like the checkpoint system in this game feels kind of buggy. It doesn't quite feel um intended that enemies stay dead and things change, but because that is the case, it doesn't seem accidental either. It doesn't seem like it was a bug the developer couldn't figure out how to fix. You know, it's one of those things where it might have been unintended, but once it's there, it's like, okay, but what could I like? How could we design something around this? That's what I was kind of thinking about before. Like, it made me curious if like there are puzzles kind of designed around it, and I don't know if that's the concept with the swords. Like, you're supposed to touch a sword and get killed by it, and on your next life, now you have that sword, and then you have 3 different swords. I mean, the flame sword let me kill dudes in one hit, and from what you're describing, it sounds like there's some kind of different fight where you have to use the correct sword, which does sound incredibly convoluted and unpractical. It sounds unique though, which is fascinating. But yeah, the game. I mean, it's like it's an issue on a kind of. I hate to use the word objective, but like as like I think it's an issue that some things are not quite communicated, and it's weird when things happen and you can't feel sure if it was due to a bug or by design. um, but ultimately, like it's still like the my biggest uh gripe with it isn't that it's poorly designed or that it's annoying or that it's bad. It's more that like you start second guessing your own interactions with the game. Like, is this what I should be doing? Did I miss something? Is this what's really supposed to happen? Which is not a great feeling, but simultaneously almost elevates a game that's already this peculiar to begin with. This game took him 8 years to make. That's pretty sick. That's a lot of dedication. Uh, yeah, so I'm really kind of a little bit perplexed. So actually, I guess just out of curiosity, so I saved at the beginning of the level, but not the checkpoint, right? I have 25 minutes. Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense that that was basically at the end of the level. Oh, that's not yeah, walking and then blocking is like weirdly difficult. I'm trying to remember, like, this game has a lot of doors that look exactly like exits but aren't exits. And it has several doors that are closed and that may or may not open. So I can't quite recall. And also every screen looks the same and every level looks the same. So I can't be sure if I may have passed by a door that would have been an exit. And maybe now that I had, like, if I collected all 3 swords, or, well, I already have the regular one, but if collecting the swords, oh, this is gonna kill me. That's a bit fucked. I'm not even sure if you can kind of get through them. If that is going to help you get past some kind of obstacle, then it was definitely not clear what that obstacle would have been. Whether it's an enemy or something else. I can't think of anything that I encountered that would have me think like, oh yeah, okay, let me try hitting it with one of my new swords. So presumably there was something else to be found as well. Like some kind of screen or another. Those jumps are fun. Yeah, so he started all the way over to the left. Oh yeah, that's a thing in this game. Cool. I mean, that works. Guess I don't have to go down there. This is a fascinating game, and I would like to finish it. But it would seem pretty clear to me that finishing this game likely would involve... Oh, okay. I was actually able to dodge that. Restarting, if not from the very beginning, at the very least from earlier in the game. I mean, I don't have time for it tonight either way, because I'm gonna wrap up pretty soon. I'm just, I'm like contemplating whether or not to maybe give this a second go, or third, I guess, whatever. If I'm gonna try to finish this on stream, or if we're moving on, or I don't know. I think maybe before, at some point after this stream, maybe I'll do a little more research and look up a little more stuff. Not necessarily reading solutions or anything. Whoa, the diamond thing over there. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of, like I said, thinking aloud. This game is cool, but I do feel like there's potentially a risk of spending a lot of time and still not getting necessarily much closer to finishing it. Because it's been a couple of weeks since I played the first half of the game, so I feel like if I replay those levels now, I don't know that I would remember much of them. Although, if there's not that much left of the game after this point, I mean, hell, even now, I guess I have significantly more time. Oops. Maybe I don't have to replay as much as I would think. Okay, yeah, so I got the black sword now. So see, now I keep pulling out the black sword. Okay, it seems a little random. I didn't want to find out if I could kill it with a single hit. So yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I remember seeing a door we passed by, so that's presumably the exit door. Yeah, this game is just addictive, I guess. I kind of was intending on wrapping up here, but now we're gaming. We're gaming. So how did I get that? The other sword. That I think is a full health. I definitely got to that point at some point. It's possible that I may have. I don't know. I think like I would expect. If I'm supposed to have both swords, something or other in the game would require us to get them in order to like finish. But I'm not sure what that would even entail. Door timers are incredibly strict, so I didn't want to risk ending up there and not being able to go through. But we should be able to at least recreate kind of the state of having touched both swords and gotten killed by them. I don't know if that's going to somehow open up a door to a switch or something. Like, I just don't understand how, if indeed I need the swords, and this is just kind of a hypothetical thought experiment, not necessarily an answer, a question I'm looking for an answer to from chat. But like, what could? Whoa, okay, that was weird. I actually pressed the jump button, but I was forced to crouching by the door, which prevented me from jumping. So that the door actually saved my life there. If I'm just supposed to find a switch to open a door, how will having these swords help with that? It's what I don't quite understand. But I guess I have, okay, yeah, I can. I don't know, I can't exactly pull any one sword out on command, but I am capable of pulling out either of the three swords. So I don't know that I went left down here. Let's take a look. Yeah, I remember passing through here at some point. Like drop down on this side. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not asking because because I want chat to tell me the answer. I'm just thinking aloud. Okay, this is new. Oh, okay. I'm probably supposed to do this. Probably supposed to be this to take that. And now I'm no longer flaming. Okay. So maybe you're supposed to go like multiple laps. To do that, and then there's some other dude here that we have to fight or something. Yeah, the maps are just so huge that I didn't kind of realize that there was this whole section I hadn't even gotten to. Yeah, I've been here before. So I figured because I pulled my sword out and started fighting, and I had the flame sword, I guess that made me, I'm no longer flaming. So I'm assuming the fire sword is still gonna kill me now. But maybe you have to go down there. I mean, we have the checkpoint, so the enemies should be dead. Oh yeah, you can't, yeah, that's right, you can't go back up. Yeah, you have to wait, okay. Is there a gate here? No. Yeah, I've been on this screen. Yeah, it's so funny, like, you've been so close to these other screens. In fact, I think I killed these enemies before, too, yeah. Anyway, that blue wall that gave me the flame. Well, we can go to that screen again and see if that's, like, respawned. Yeah, like, I figured that even though we had the swords, assuming that this was not, that the way I got them was not the intended way of getting them. I could absolutely see actually picking it up, doing something that would make a noise or give some indication of progress or something happening. But just doing it and having it kill us didn't seem to achieve that. Right, I have to go. So, yeah, let's see if doing this and then collecting... Dude, the animation, like the flame makes it so much harder to see what's... Like your positioning and timing. Like the prince is already kind of jittering around a little bit in the animation, and the flame is like misaligned to that. It's a little funny, but also really like confusing. Makes it a little harder to parse your specific position, and by extension timing for like jumps and stuff. But it should be fine. So I wonder if I do this to collect the flame sword, would it then... do I go back to the same blue wall thing to turn black to collect the black sword? Or is that another thing I have to find? That sounds like the exit opening. Okay. I should just be able to drop down here. It's like the intro music playing now. Where the fuck was it? Down, well, I could do a running jump here, so maybe above. Okay. Yeah, I guess this would have been where I got the flame thing. So it would be the other. Yeah. Not here because I can't jump across here, but up one screen I can jump across. Oh, I hate these running jumps over screen transitions. They're so awkward. Let's see if this gets me to where we want to be. Maybe? No? Is it at the top? Yeah, I guess it might be between the bridges. Because I was going to say, I remember it being like an open room. Like with a high ceiling, basically. I guess it makes sense. There's one more screen in between here. Yeah, exactly. Right. This is the screen I forgot about. $10 minutes? Okay. Well, depending on how close we are, maybe 10 minutes will be enough. Technically, I'm not sure if we collected both swords, but we were allowed entry to this level here. So, guess we'll save over this. I don't know. Shit. Okay. I'm not sure if that's intended, but that kind of works. A few more levels. Yeah, we're probably gonna wrap up pretty soon. Thanks for stopping by. I pressed the B button, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't unfortunately change much because, Oh yeah, there's like a weird... Yeah, even if I had time... I don't think I have the mental fortitude to make it through multiple levels at this point. Maybe starting off from a clear slate might have a shot. I don't know, but I don't know, I'm pretty impressed because like it's actually pretty comparable to the original Prince of Persia, kind of in length. But the levels are so huge, so I guess this game is like probably longer. But I think the pacing maybe not quite as tight. I mean, not that it's the original Prince of Persia is a fucking masterpiece, so it's not exactly a failure to not be able to live up to it. But looking at this for what it is, like this kind of fan-made sort of original campaign, so to speak, it's pretty damn solid, and I think the aesthetics, not just the kind of weird, you know, MS Paint tiles and mismatched, blurry, stolen sprites. You know, the intro with the very clunky writing, like everything about this just has this very goofy bootleg vibe to it. But if it didn't have that, like if it looked a little more professional or presentable, I feel like it would well, I was gonna say it wouldn't have its, you know, reputation or whatever, but what do I know? Maybe this game is extremely well respected in Prince of Persia fan game circles. I have no idea. Okay, what else we got? Let's use this sword. It's so funny, just like, alright, let me put this in my pocket, let's, oh yeah, sure, let's use this one. The concept of having multiple swords is an interesting idea. Not having a simple way of manually picking and changing swords is very questionable, let's say, in my opinion. Of course, I haven't found myself in a position where my sort of life depends on it, but I reckon that's gonna happen sooner or later. Well, I guess we'll probably see the timer out. Why not? But yeah, it's satisfying to get to a new level in this, but it's also fills me with a certain amount of dread because it's an intimidating game. It's pretty challenging, and every new level, like it takes a good while to reach that point of comfort, of like feeling like you have a good grasp on what's going on and how to advance. A lot of time you do have these sort of mostly linear gauntlet-y sections. Oh shit. Where you just kind of well, sure, there's a lot of different directions I could go, but I happen to pick this direction, and now that I'm here, where can I go and what can I do? Well, there's only really, like, once I've picked this direction, there aren't really necessarily multiple levels of branching paths, which I do think is like to the game's credit in terms of level design. Like, I still think the level design is I don't know. It's got some issues, I guess you could say. It's not as refined as the original game. Like, as I was talking about before, you know, playing other, like, fan-made stuff in the original levels in some of the console ports of the original game and stuff, there's just... You start to appreciate not just broadly the quality of the level design in the original game, but more so that, like, there's these patterns and, well, design philosophy kind of of the way certain things, both visually, the way they're laid out, the way levels are organized, the types of traps and situations, like stuff that can happen in a fan-made or otherwise non-Machner designed levels. Stuff that happens that you kind of, that make you go like, wait, this is not supposed to happen, or, huh. And when you experience those things, it kind of makes it clear that, like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it, but this actually doesn't ever happen in the original game. And that's not by accident. That must have been a conscious decision to avoid this type of confusing or frustrating or difficult situation. I think that's the stuff that I've kind of gotten more appreciation for. Where I think there's an elegance and a sort of cohesive design feel of sorts that I just think is really well done. It's kind of tricky. And for everything that's like neat in terms of sort of set piece-y stuff and kind of puzzle-y stuff and whatever here, I don't necessarily feel... Whoa, okay. That there's enough to like elevate it to the same level of quality, which again, like that's an extremely tall order. It's certainly not a complaint that it's not managing that, but I think again it just speaks to the brilliance of the original Prince of Persia, where playing other games or whatever they may or may not have to offer, they just make you appreciate like recontextualize the original game. Alright, are these guys just not gonna attack me now? Oh, sick. Okay, that's pretty cool. They're still ready though. They're itching to kill somebody. I guess that's the exit, but 1 minute. I'm really just confused about this area on the right here. That whole area, another health extension or something there, maybe? Well, I was just like narrating my wrapping up here, and we accidentally cleared a level. I guess we got accidental progress after all. This could be the final stage. I don't know. We're obviously not going to be able to finish it. But that's fine. We'll have to end on a cliffhanger, but it's not the worst thing. Yeah, this game is you know, when I first got this game, I thought it was like a little bit of a joke, and you know, I love Prince of Persia, so I was of course intrigued to see what it was like. But I'd played like the first level or two off stream and knew that it was like, I knew what the graphics looked like. I knew that the game was kind of janky and weird. But I really did not expect it to be as legitimately good as it actually is. Even though some of my appreciation for this game is certainly not ironic, but like, I'm to some degree, not a great degree, but to some degree, I'm certainly kind of having a laugh at the game's expense. Like, it's goofy, it's weird. And that's amusing. But I guess you could say that I was expecting the game to not necessarily have that much to offer on top of that. But as it turns out, like, it's actually a pretty good game. I mean, a 5-star review on the Microsoft Store. And it's a captivating game, I have to say. Well, I think this is as far as we're gonna get tonight. Knowing that we are close to the end, though, and being, even from where we started tonight, I wasn't being super conservative with like save scumming to save time. So I'm sure conceivably we could load one of my existing saves and probably make it to the end. Um, but maybe I'd want to be able to give myself a little more of a margin. Like, it would kind of suck to replay from like stage 9 and go through another 5 stages and still not have enough time. In that case, like, I'd almost rather start over from the very beginning. I don't know. I am, however, not super thrilled about the prospect of that. But maybe I'm saying that because right now I'm kind of mentally exhausted because this is a very taxing game to play. It might not look it, but it is quite taxing. Very fun, though. I enjoy it a lot. That is all to say, are we going to continue this on Saturday? Maybe, maybe not. We shall see. Maybe we'll finally get started on Warrior Within. Maybe. We'll take a look at some of these games that I got in the most recent unboxing stream. We got Crayon Shinchan. We got Lulu for the Saturn. Well, we got Metal Gear Solid. I think people are quite familiar with this one. We might not have to check that out. Got Libero Grande. So I don't know. I haven't booted any of these games up myself, so I kind of want to do that. Which, shit, I think I just remembered that I bought this on an auction and I didn't give the seller my feedback yet. I should probably do that. Although I haven't even tried the games, but hopefully they work. I trust them. We did finish the community challenge for the Viewer's Choice versus Fighting Game bonus stream. But I'm gonna want to take a little bit more time to prep. So we're not gonna do that this Friday. I was not expecting that to finish this soon. But we should have everything up and running for next Friday, no problem. That means that the next stream for me will be on Saturday. And time will tell what exactly we're going to be playing on Saturday. We might continue Prince of Persia, the Crystal Castle. We might check out some other old Japanese games that I picked up recently. We might start Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Although, if I'm being totally honest, probably not. We'll see. But I'm probably going to try in the next couple of days to check that I have that game up and running, but then I have a working PS3 controller and everything. And maybe that'll get me excited to actually start playing it, or maybe it'll turn out that I don't have a working controller or something. We'll find out. But I will be back to stream on Saturday. If you want to keep tabs on upcoming streams, what's going on, or just hang out and chill, feel free to join my Discord. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, where I try to post updates on upcoming streams and other goings on. Let's figure out who else is streaming so we can raid them. What is going on this Wednesday evening? I had to think there for a second to remember what day it is. It's Wednesday. What is going on? What is going on Twitch? Tino is doing Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. Let's join him. You may have noticed I did grab Tomb Raider Anniversary recently. I've been I played a little bit of that. You can't see my game screen. There you go. I picked this up recently because I played this back when it first came out and remember enjoying it. And this was like $3 or something. So I was like, you know what? I kind of want to check that out. That's gotten me thinking about old Tomb Raider games recently. Let's see how that's going for Tino. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. I will be back on Saturday, as mentioned. I hope everybody's doing well until then, and see you then. Thanks for watching.